Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Starting Mindset Podcast. This is Jay San, your co-host, and if for those who are new, what this podcast is about total mindset, everything to do with mindset. Personal development. We're talking about mental health. We talk about physical health, and just passions, purposes, anything. Just talking about real, authentic stories. And I'm trying to change everything up from what you guys are used to. With me talking about certain topics like discipline. Just making sure that you guys are, aware of certain scenarios. And I feel like bringing in more guests definitely helps a lot with, perspectives, because I can only speak so much, guys. I'm already around 30 episodes deep here, and I've given a lot of my perspectives already, but every time I bring in a guest, usually the ratings kind of pop off here. So, but we do have a guest here. It is my special friend / cousin that I've known for so long, since the day I was born. And his name is Jonathan N. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man.
Thanks for having me on the show.
It's a nice Saturday, and at 9:00 at night, John didn't really want to come out and do this. We were planning to do this on Sunday, but we figured, let's just get it done, because with podcasts nowadays, it's just you just gotta have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
I know people want to hear different stories and different insights. And I feel like having you on the podcast, John, since I've been waiting for so long, is that you have a unique story yourself. And I feel like that goes with a lot of people. But I feel like the opportunity for you to tell your story and kind of what you had gone through from childhood, from when I watched you when you were younger, to grow into the person you are today is amazing. And I feel like that can inspire a lot of people to, take initiative, take action, and moving forward, just to really evaluate their life and see what they can audit to improve themselves. Because a lot of people out there right now, especially during this time and this pandemic and COVID, a lot of people have dropped off, and there's some people that took advantage of it. Just like yourself, which we will get into. But hopefully, I know you might have a lot of people that are going to listen to this episode when you promote it or when I promote it.
Yeah.
But having you on is going to be great, because I love having close family members, close friends on the show, just to give their insight and just to show people who is in my life, right? Because everyone kind of has an idea of who I am. I'm out there posting on Instagram, motivational stuff, inspirational stuff. I'm going to get into more video. I know I promised you guys I'm going to start a YouTube channel here soon. But just kind of inviting everybody in my life to come on the show shows me that you guys show me support, and that's means a lot to me. And I hope that you can, take this opportunity in this episode just to show people who you are, not only who you are, but what values you can teach them from your perspectives. And I think you have a lot of good stuff, man. And I'm really happy that you're here.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you for having me. So my name is John. We were born in Hamilton, Ontario. Me and Jimmy. Our family came from back in '79. My dad came to Canada. He landed in Saskatoon with my mom. He didn't land with my mom. She was there, but they met each other in Saskatoon in Canada. And I guess you would say my dad was a first generation Cambodian. His dad is Chinese and his mom's Chinese, but they're all born in Cambodia. Yeah. So growing up, when we first landed, we were sold an idea. My family was sold an idea to BC that we would have had lots of cars, big houses. This was the switch from going from Ontario to BC. This was an idea through family members that my dad and my uncle would grow, have more things if they came out to BC, more opportunities. So growing up, I grew up on a farm for my first 2-3 years in Canada. James was only, I guess, 2 weeks old or something like that, and then he went straight to right out of the hospital. He basically came straight from Ontario to BC, mm-hmm. And so we grew up in a farm, and I was a really bad kid. I guess you could say. I guess my siblings would say it would be middle child syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a middle child too. Nothing's wrong with me, or at least I don't think it is.
Yeah. So like, you have the oldest sibling where the parents, always
Yeah.
the spoil the most, and then
Yeah.
you have the baby who gets spoiled the most, and the middle kind of just has to fend for himself and just kind of make sure, try to get along with both siblings at the same time. But then, growing up, I guess my brother and my sister, they have that, they have that really strong connection.
Yeah.
Growing up, and it was definitely, I didn't want to make it a middle child syndrome thing,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah,
it just so happened, I was such a bad kid too. So, growing up, I was,
But like you're gonna have that though, right? There's always like a sibling that's going to be a bit different than others, and there's always going to be siblings that just have a bond within one another. Like I guess you could say in this case, my older brother was the middle child between my older sister and myself because I was the youngest,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And my older brother happened to be kind of like the rebellious person, kind of didn't agree with a lot of people said. And then me and my sister always been civil, and I've always kind of been civil with everybody though. But there's always going to be siblings that are different, and I feel like that's like the craziest part about human beings is there's just so many different personalities, and everyone's so different. But we're like at the end of the day, we just accept each other for what it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like as you get older, like you don't obviously hold any grudges of the past between your siblings or any of that sort. Like you just kind of said, hey, at the end of the day, we're family. And I can't vouch for that for a lot of people, because there's definitely families out there that do hold grudges against other people, and they end up not talking for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? They're not building a relationship. But I think it's really great to have a family core that is strong, and just like you guys, man, you guys kind of stuck it out together until this day. Like, look at this house, right? Like all the adversity that our family's been, from the initial places that we've lived in, to our families, working at, mushroom farms.
Yeah, growing up in the ghetto.
Growing up in the ghetto of Langley, BC. If you guys
not the ghetto, but it was
like the low income and
low income,
like food banks. And
going to Douglas Park, having to go for breakfast in the mornings to those kind of like all the poor kids go, and
the unfortunate ones that didn't like have enough money or something to afford to.
My mom would take me to like clothes banks and like go pick up some donated clothes from a whole bunch of people, and we used to, anywhere my mom could get her hands on stuff for me and James and my sister, that my mom took us to those places. So growing up wasn't it was a little tougher, but as kids you don't understand the extent of how poor you are. You're just kind of a kid, and you just live your life that way.
So true,
without knowing.
Yeah.
But when you look back on it, it's kind of like wow, like my parents started, and they started very small, budgeted out, and they slowly tried to work their way up again. I know in Ontario, we did own a little restaurant. My dad did have a house with my mom, and we basically sold it all because we were given an idea that we would have had a way better opportunity in BC. So we made that switch.
You know what? It's crazy we've known each other for this long. I honestly didn't know that story. You living on a farm.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any animals there?
No, it was the mushroom farm actually.
Okay.
Yeah, there was animals. Yeah, definitely. But we lived there for quite some time. Underneath, my dad's was working under his oldest brother, and basically me and my sister, we lived on the farm for about maybe 2 or 3 years, and then we moved out to Langley.
Did your parents make you guys work on the farm there at all, or like?
Yeah, we folded boxes for the mushrooms, and we did do work. Sometimes we just hang around like farm kids, just roamed around everywhere. I had to take care of James most of the time, be home while he
You still do that,
still
honestly. I'm just kidding, James, if you're listening to this. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
that's awesome, bro. Like, just really to connect on that type of level. it's crazy, and it's honestly crazy that I didn't know that. Was that farm out in like Langley at the time, or was it?
Yeah, it was in Brookswood. It was in the it was
okay.
in like First Ave area.
Yeah.
Like looking back on it now, it's like, wow, we lived out that far, because growing up I was always in the Lower Mainland, but we grew up going to, when I was going to high school, I was going to Brookswood, and that Brookswood was in the boondocks, the boonies, during that area.
And
so.
eventually after the farm, you guys moved into your original, like the OG house that was like eight houses away from our house, right?
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
That's
like my vivid memory as a child. I guess maybe I was a bit too young at the time, because but I guess not. I'm a year younger than you, but I just remember just being in a house and just having you guys always around us, and our parents always kind of hanging out with each other. And then that's just maybe I do remember having an apartment by Douglas Park, because I got bit by a dog out there. That's the only memory I had. But and then take us through. So we grew up together, went to school at Nickelmack Elementary.
Yeah, we went to Nickelmack. Yeah,
it was a pretty cool school. I mean, I remember my first day in kindergarten. I'm sure you have many of your groups there as well, especially your main group with like Jericho, George, Brett, that you're still friends with today, which is amazing. I don't know how many people have a lot of elementary school friends that are friends today still. But just going through the process of like you breakdancing in elementary school, to like the preteen dances, and to like, I don't know, like all the crazy stuff you would do to your neighbors, like shine a laser pointer at through their window.
Basically, I was a troubled kid.
We would like ride our bikes throughout Langley, town of Langley, and eventually you guys got your bike stolen.
Like just growing up, like without really, having Cambodian parents, coming to Canada, not I don't blame them, I love them, but not truly understanding what kids needed to progress, how to be there for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was important that we did all that stuff, man. Honestly, we did some dumb stuff. Like, I mean, like we did pretty dumb stuff. Who hasn't, when they're younger? And I feel like a lot of that were good memories, good experiences, and we can take a lot of things back from those memories as kids, and just have a good laugh at it now that we're adults, right? So compared to like kids today, like iPads,
like stuck on iPads,
YouTube, TikTok. I got a young nephew, I got a young sister that are all about that, right? And I'm trying to really encourage them to step out of that and kind of get back into what it was like before. And there's a huge argument about that as well. It's like, well, why don't we just adapt to the times of 2021? Things are different. Technology's grown. Why can't kids grow with the opportunity of having their own thing now, right? Why does everything have to be kind of backdated to how you were as kids?
Exactly.
This is the only thing I see is kind of like, because we can see the benefits of us growing up the way we were as children versus the children now, having grown more of anxiety, having depression and stuff like that too, can all be linked towards, not doing the things that humans are meant to do, which is be outside, get fresh air, connect with other humans, like face to face. I know there's a whole Zoom call, FaceTime, and all that stuff too, but I'm not really a big fan. As much as we did it during the pandemic. I feel like stuff like this, man, like getting people on the show, on the podcast, and just telling the story and connecting. And when people can hear our voices and see our visuals through the camera, man, like, I know they're probably watching it and listening to it on their devices, but this is just a lesson just to encourage more people just to listen to, other people like yourself, and hopefully they can take that advice and go outside, talk to more people, you know what I mean, and try to learn new things and experience new things. You never know, like, because you picked up a lot of good habits, bro, like for the longest time, and I gotta tell you, dude, I've looked up to you for a long time throughout the years. Especially
thanks, man. I truly appreciate that.
Because I know we always go back and forth and stuff like that. As most friendships and family goes through. Obviously as a youngin' working at McDonald's at like 14 for like 5 years. Worked my way up in my promotion. became a manager, and like everyone was like, dude, Jimmy, like you're killing it, like you're a manager now, dude.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what, like max 15 an hour.
Yeah.
And like working 10-hour shifts and only getting paid for 8, which is a rip off McDonald's. You got to let you guys know that. And then eventually just going to John. I went to John because he was working at Canada Bread at the time.
Yeah.
You were telling me how it was more relaxed and less stressful, and
work for 8 hours.
work for 8 hours.
Go home.
You had the connections there, and I'm like, damn, John, I want to go work there with you.
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
this stressful management where you make less than 15. I think you were making like more than that. So I was kind of like very envious. I was like, John, hook me up a job. And eventually I worked at Canada Bread with you for about a year, 2 years. That was through unions. That was my first union I worked for.
Yeah.
And then eventually you left the company to go up north, or I guess out east a bit in Alberta, the province right beside British Columbia.
Yeah.
Because Alberta is known for the oil rigs, the oil, and the
Yeah.
trades and stuff like that. A lot of engineers out there too.
Yeah.
And a lot of money to be made out there too.
Oh yeah,
dude.
yeah, definitely.
But the only thing, like the only downside I remember from Alberta was just like the cold, right? But yeah, so eventually you went to Alberta. You worked there for like 2 or 3 months at the time, and I remember texting you, but always continuously like, John, man, like again, I hate my job.
Yeah.
Well, you're making way more money than I am over there. You're stacking your savings up, and I'm like, John, man, can you get me an opportunity out there?
Yeah.
And I remember you're like, yeah, I'm living with a couple of buddies from high school, and they're down, right? So
Yeah.
and that's ultimately why I went to Edmonton, and I explained that in my first episode. But yeah, I went to Edmonton because of John. He didn't give me a job, but like the fact that he gave me the opportunity to go there to experience it and to look for that opportunity,
Yeah.
which I did eventually find, and I found a really good job too. It really showed like how much I did like, was inspired by you, just kind of
Yeah.
ensuring that you were taking care of yourself, right? Throughout all the madness we had as kids, and then our younger adult years where we
Yeah.
were like partying at the Mirage, which was a spot as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old. We always go every single weekend, as young adults
Yeah.
do. Yeah, and man, just to see that transition as youngins to young adults to now, working men, saving, and then you eventually bought your dream car, bro. Like,
Yeah.
take us through that. Like,
Yeah.
you're really passionate about cars, right? You're like, take us through that
Yeah,
moment
so-
in Edmonton. Like,
yeah.
what was that like?
So basically, when I guess out of high school during high school, I was definitely a troubled kid. Couldn't keep a job. I was I honestly had like maybe like 10 jobs in 1 year, and I just couldn't hold a job. I didn't really
That's
like.
right. That's right. I remember
Yeah.
you working at McDonald's with me.
Yeah, I
Like,
worked at McDonald's with Jimmy.
John was a good worker, dude.
Yeah.
I tell you, all the managers loved him.
Yeah, I really like being a people person, and my buddy had a house party, and they were all talking about how the oil industry was booming, and he said to me, I was like, I need money, like I need to do this.
Yeah.
I need something to do, because
A lot of guys were up there too.
yeah,
Right. A lot of guys actually in BC. They were
a lot of guys in BC,
because
yeah,
they knew the money was up there.
Yeah. And then he said to me, follow the money. And I kept repeating that to myself. I was like, follow the money.
As a young adult.
Follow the money. What do I know about keeping a job? Follow the money. And I'm this little Asian kid with resumes, with, going to like the drill rigs and asking them for a job. Like this little kid with braces, little Asian kid with braces. Hey, can I get a job as a greenhorn on the rigs?
And your resume is like
Yeah.
10 different jobs in like within 4 months of employment.
Yeah, my resume was like, Canada Bread, McDonald's, Burger King,
Yeah.
like Staples.
Yeah.
It was just
Coast Appliances.
Coast Appliances. It's like, what do I?
Where else did you work?
Yeah, like, what did a little, 19-year-old Asian kid with braces know about hard work? Like, to myself, I was like, what's going on? So
Yeah.
I was like, whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
I had a Lancer at the time.
The basic model. Or
Yeah,
the base model.
base model Lancer, and I packed it up. I filled my car up with all my clothes, And I was like, okay, I'm going. I've never been to Alberta in my life, but I'm going. Um,
I was like after Canada bred, dude. Like I remember you just said I'm going.
I'm going. That's it. I'm going. Yeah, it was.
Did you have like a place to stay or any of that sort, or like did you know like who you were staying with at the time at all? Or?
Yeah, so I had a few buddies out there, and they had a place, and I did actually no, I remember now. I went for vacation to
check it out, right?
to Edmonton to check how to drive there, what it's like over there. So I did hit it up for a week,
which is like 12-hour drive, guys. If you guys don't know like how long it is, and it's through the cold.
Yes,
we're going through the mountains, right?
Yeah.
So you get like sunny in Vancouver. You hit like maybe Kamloops is getting a bit rainy. And you hit like the mountains. It gets snow. Like you get snow on the road, and it's just snow throughout the whole drive, depending on what time of the year it is. And when you hit Edmonton, it's like cold snow, -40.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so basically, it's a 12-hour drive from Vancouver, and you got to go through the mountains, and then even then, when you do get a job on the rigs, you're not going to be in the city. You're going to be up north, like more
in
like
the boonies.
Grand Prairie,
the middle of nowhere.
Like,
they don't even know like what the internet is over there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like basically, so out of Edmonton, there's a city called Nisku. It's where all the
Nisku.
it's where all the companies that hire are. So you basically go into Nisku, and then you have your resume, and you walk to the drilling companies and ask them for a job. And it was just funny, just looking at myself now, seeing what like people like the secretaries or something thought when they took my resume.
What was the reaction like? Like did they give you a reaction, or did they just take it? Like
I have a feeling that like they were like, no, this is not
like,
for you.
Like you handed it to them, they looked at it, they look at you.
Yeah.
They look at it again just to recheck if you're serious.
Yeah.
Look back at you.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, little guy.
Yeah, exactly. So I go to so it was after 2 weeks. I was kind of like sad. I was really depressed because I wasn't getting anywhere. I was handing in my resumes, and no one was calling or nothing. But then I got a call like on the very last day, where like I almost didn't have enough money to survive out there. And basically they called me and asked me to go for an interview. And then so I get to the job site, and it's a bunch of we were welding drill heads to repair the drills to go underneath. I had no clue what anything was. So there's this Russian. There's this Ukrainian guy, really nice guy, great guy today. I'm really good friends with him now. Well, not good friends with him, but we're still Facebook buddies, and we comment on each other's stuff, and make sure we're always keeping in touch. And he was the manager at the time, and he looks at me. He looks at me like I could still see the face he made. His expression. This little Chinese kid with braces
and Cambodian.
And Cambodian too. Yeah. Sorry, I'm both. But like when I see it in other people's eyes, I'm like, he's Chinese, But but like he's like he looks at me. He looks at my resume. He asks me one question. He says, "Are you a good worker?" And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm a good worker. I'll do anything.
I could see you saying that too.
Hell yeah, I could do anything you want me to. I need a job. Be
careful what you wish for.
I need a job. Like I'm desperate right now. And he hires me, and I'm so happy I got a job. It was a good paying job. I wish I got paid a little more, but they had to work it out in a way where I was getting paid what I was actually worth at the time because I had no experience. But other than that, like the living out allowance, the pay itself, working for 12 hours, 16 hours, almost some shifts were actually like 24 hours, depending on like, all the drives we did, we would mark it down. And it was crazy because you would work for, sometimes you would work for 16 hours a day, maybe 2 times a day. It's like,
wow.
there was like no stop, like
You say 16-hour days 2 times a day?
Yeah, basically
So all day.
Basically
Wow.
no time
No
for
sleep.
like it was like either when you're working, then you're on the move again.
Oh, I see.
You sleep for like 4 hours and then you're on the move in a vehicle again. So that's how it worked.
Yeah. You're getting paid for that.
Yeah, and you're getting paid for the drive too. So like you weren't even like, is so all I had in my head was that I had to save money. And at this time it was very depressing because back at home, we had my brother and my sister. They're renting out a basement suite.
I remember that.
No hard feelings for some my stepbrothers, but we got kicked out of the main house we grew up in. We bought the one in we actually bought we bought your old house.
Yeah. You guys were living in my basement at the time, but like my basement's huge, guys. You could fit
after we lived in your basement, we bought your old house.
Oh, yeah. The OG. Yeah, the house
OG.
where we lived eight houses together.
Yeah.
Sorry, 8 houses apart from each other. And then eventually we both then moved. Like I moved to Cloverdale, which is like 5-10 minute drive away. And then you guys eventually moved under in the basement suite, where our basement suite is huge. I don't know how they built it like that, but it was huge down there.
Yeah.
And then eventually you guys moved out of that and then bought our old home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time it was cheap. It was $300K.
Yeah.
In dead center of Langley. you can't find that. Maybe like, that house today was sold for 1.3 mil.
Yeah.
And so during the time it was a sad time because we really had nowhere to call home.
Yeah.
And growing up, some of my relatives told me I would have never amounted to anything. Said that I wouldn't graduate school. Their kids were better. Things like that.
Yeah.
Like
the thing with Asian parents that people don't understand is that, or maybe they don't know about, is as a lot of Asian parents like to compare their children within other kids.
Yeah.
As in as a way to kind of motivate you. But if anything, it did the opposite. Or it's like your mom's like, my mom's like, oh, you see so and so's kid, like he's an honor roll student and he's so smart, and like, what are you doing? I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, like what do you want me to do? Like be an honor roll student? Like I guess that's what you're trying to say, but it's obviously not that easy,
You grow up to be something you want to grow up to be. It's like so.
But you did get a lot of the backlash too from like your parents and maybe some people, your relatives and stuff like that. Judging by how the outlook was within your other siblings too. How. Some might say that your siblings were more intelligent, you know what I mean? And they were more likely to succeed than you. And I feel like now that we take a look back at that, like how much that drove you and motivated you to just prove them wrong.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So my brother, he's such an intelligent guy. Sometimes I tell him he's too smart for his own good.
I was actually gonna say that. Is that right in my head?
Yeah, he's too smart for his own good sometimes. But
I hope you're listening to this, James.
I love him, but my sister, she's super smart. My sister's a really smart girl too, and she knows what her worth is. And like she grew up, she had a really good job, and then she was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm smarter than this. I'm gonna progress." And now she finished school for her paralegal, and works for one of the biggest law firms in Vancouver. And James, he's I think he's a Red Seal electrician or something like that. Yeah. And so
guy's a genius, I tell you.
Yeah, I think he he could definitely, if he wants something, he can get it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, yeah. But growing up as the middle child, I didn't really have anything. I didn't have smarts. I didn't have, you know, I didn't have book smarts, but I knew how to I knew how to wash the dishes. you know, I had, you know, I
You
knew,
could have picked anything.
Yeah.
Picked anything. You picked the dishes. I
You
love
know?
it. But in general though, you were good with your hands.
I was good with my hands,
Yeah.
and also I was kind of trying to adapt to people skills, because when I as a kid, I didn't have people skills,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I didn't really have people skills. And growing up, I realized that having people skills, you know, is the way to go. It's how you progress in life, and
Yeah.
being able to talk my situations into things, like
Yeah, like right now.
yeah, like you know, like, Jimmy, get me on your podcast. No, I'm just kidding. No, but like, you know, asking, you know, getting my job in Alberta, or, you know,
Yeah.
just being super respectful, and then holding that job out. You know, they did make, you know, I did have a hard time. Alberta's a little bit, you know, the guys up there are kind of rougher if you're, you know.
Oh yeah, tell me
You know,
about it,
I
man.
think I was the only Asian kid working in the, you know, in the oil sands. It
Yeah.
was like, I think I saw one Asian guy, and he was a first aid attendant, and he was playing StarCraft in his, in this, you know, in his little shack.
Was that you too? You play
So-
StarCraft too, don't
Yeah,
you?
I play StarCraft. I play a lot of StarCraft. I like strategy games. Yeah, strategy games.
Do you remember the time when I messaged you saying, "Yo, I want to go to Edmonton"?
Yeah, I did. So I was actually surprised. I brought, if you remember the guy, Sterling, he worked with us
Yeah.
at Canada Bread.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, a great guy. So I was like, you know what, I'm going. And then Sterling came too. And then, you're like, you know,
These two left, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? You know, I'm working with a bunch of older men that, you know, have been there for 40 plus years, that hate you when you try to outwork them for some reason because they didn't want to look bad. You know what I mean?
and then the max pay was $23.50. I remember it.
And I'm like, man, this is too much, you know, manual labor, you know,
Yeah.
at the time. So I want to do manual labor, I guess, in Alberta, but
Yeah.
like get paid more for it, right? And then when I
Exactly.
saw you were making that kind of money, that kind of coin with Sterling, I was like, man, you know, what is my situation right now? I'm out partying every weekend. I'm making bad decisions. I'm making bad choices. I'm playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Zombies, or, you know,
Yeah.
whatever, you know, and
What's the switch, you know, like what, you know, like how are
Yeah.
you going to switch to doing something different?
Yeah. I mean, I had a girlfriend at the time too, and I even just left that behind because
Yeah.
I realized like I gotta, and I was DJing too at the time.
Yeah,
I was
you were
at
DJing too, yeah.
clubs and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I got into a lot of, you know, a lot of issues and conflict with the resident DJ because he wanted to take my music, the
Yeah.
music that
Yeah, I remember
I
that, yeah.
researched so hard for like days and weeks on end. And he's like,
Yeah.
the only way you can play at my club is if you give me your music
It was
that
like-
you that you work so hard for. Guys, like, I don't know, like, if you guys understand music, but like it is so hard to find a hit song that you know is going to be a good banger for like the beach
Yeah,
around your
especially when you're
friends.
making your own playlist.
A good
And
playlist.
he wanted to take that
He
from you.
wanted to take it, and that's kind of like a slap to the face to me. It's like, well, you're gonna take my music, and then what am I supposed to play if, anyways? So, I did the show. They wanted to keep me on and, like, you know, play at other future shows, but I'm like, I have a plan to go to Alberta.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is not essentially worth it because I was making maybe like $200-$300 a night.
Yeah.
And you're staying up till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I'm working at Canada Bread the next day, or like at least trying to wake up and on
Yeah,
time, go to
yeah.
the gym and go there. It wasn't a really good lifestyle. So that's why I then eventually went there to see you.
Yeah.
You introduced me to your friends, Owen and Matt.
Yeah.
They were doing, I think, something similar at the time where they were also leaving for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks on
Yeah.
end,
Yeah.
not being home and then coming
Yeah.
back, and then the next guy would leave for 2 or 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a good gig, but I mean, I was sleeping on the couch. You
Yeah.
were sleeping on an air
I
mattress
was on the air mattress.
in
Yeah.
the living room where the
Yeah.
couch was, where I was.
Yeah.
While Matt and Matt and Owen got their own rooms.
Yeah.
But the place is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Despite the cold and the -40 weather.
Yeah.
Like,
We didn't have vehicles for that weather. We didn't have
No.
plugs. We didn't have nothing.
Yeah, just small cars, with
Yeah.
heat. It's like everybody out there was prepared. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like us BC boys is trying to start a new way, a new life. Like we're
Yeah.
just like, what are we doing out here? Like guys, -40 weather with wind chill. Like imagine trying to pump gas and you have gloves on or mitts on,
Yeah.
and it's still freezing through your glove. To the point that you're gonna get frostbite.
Yeah.
If you don't get out of that
Yeah.
weather.
Yeah.
Like that's how cold it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun. So for those who don't want to, experience cold weather and stuff like that, just to let you know, like that was cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember, we just roommate together or whatever up there. And then eventually you then moved out, kind of lived on your own for a bit.
Yeah.
And then eventually I went back home after like 6 months or whatever like that, came back to
Yeah.
BC. You were still up there for a bit. And then you saved up, and then eventually you got your dream car, or like at the time, right? Like
Yeah. So basically, before going to Edmonton, I would hear stories, about working in the oil sands. It was like if you either party, do drugs, spend
Yeah.
all your money on alcohol, or you come back and do
the same thing.
the same, or you come back and do the same thing. But up there, it was like drugs and alcohol were a little different. It was like people get stuck working so hard up there. So drugs and alcohol were basically, there are clean camps up there and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But other than that, like, people, it's either how are you going to take this money home with you?
Yeah.
Are you going to leave it there with all the drugs and alcohol, or are you going to bring it back home and do something better for yourself?
That's good enough. Yeah.
And my mindset was always, like everybody at home doubting me, saying, like, oh, John was never going to graduate. John was, John will, if you guys ever buy a house, he'll never pay rent, or, like he's just that guy who's not reliable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I always felt.
Yeah. You always had that in the back of your head, like every
Always-
time you
yeah,
did
exactly.
something. And you allowed that to kind of motivate you to prove them wrong every time, right?
Exactly. And I was listening, I would listen to, do my work, listen to Eminem, listen to J. Cole. Just every day was repetitive, but every day was me thinking what I had to do to get what I needed to,
Yeah, like your end goal. Like you had a goal.
My end goal.
You knew what your goal was, and how much to save in order to bring it back home, because you realized that your family back home, at the time in Edmonton, they were living in that other basement suite. I remember. And I just remember it was like so dark and gloomy down there.
Yeah.
I thought it was like fine for like maybe like a one person or a couple or whatever, but like just like, I just remember you're just like, no, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like we got to find a way to get out of here. And your dad actually went to Alberta as well, I believe, to work up there, but in Calgary. So it's south of Edmonton, about maybe 3.5 hour drive away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that was like the time to go up there. Like right now, not so much.
Not so much. Yeah, you can find pretty good jobs out there, but it wasn't booming. Like you didn't get those 12-hour, 16-hour days of work.
Yeah, it's almost like it's not even worth it, because I don't like a lot of people listening right now, like living in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Like there is nothing to do there.
Yeah, like
You work, you sleep. Oh, sorry, you sleep. You wake up for work. You work all day. You come home. Well, you go to the grocery store, get gas or whatever. Do what you do. Maybe go to the gym for like 20-25 minutes.
I went to the hookah bar every weekend. I went to the hookah bar every
Well, that's
weekend.
the weekend. I'm just talking the
so-
weekdays.
yeah.
It's just like consecutive one after the other. If you're working 10 and 12-hour days, you only got time to maybe for an hour or two to cook and eat, and then you have a shower, and then you're back to bed for the next day at work.
Yeah, exactly.
Until the weekend, and then you have all this money you've acquired throughout the week or the couple weeks, and then you're out. What else are people doing? Drinking, partying, or like at least going to the bar or something like that. There's like nothing to do if you don't know anybody, because we only knew like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
At least I did. Only knew you guys.
And when we got a chance to hang out, like when we all had a day off, we were like, let's
do something.
Let's go to Boston Pizza or something.
Yeah, you go to the bar or something like that, had a drink, and you look around and like the people are doing the same thing, and it's like that was just the life out there, guys. And imagine trying to do that for like a year. Like you were out there for a year and a bit, right?
Yeah, I was out there for 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
I'm 6 months, so I can't say
Yeah.
anything. But I like the quality of life is just so different. And if you guys haven't seen, lived in British Columbia before, or visited, like the quality of life here is just
Yeah.
amazing.
Everybody on the east of us is jealous of our weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
I mean, it rains a lot. Like maybe they say 70-80% of the year.
Yeah.
But we have mountains we can hike. We have mountains we can snowboard. We have like Whistler up north. You can, visit and, just walk around, shop, whatever. We have more hikes along the way there. In Vancouver, we have a lot of water, on the coast there. You can go to Vancouver, visit Vancouver Island. You can go on the east side of BC where you have the Okanagan, which they call it the California of Canada. Beautiful, beautiful area. There's just a lot of things to see out here that a lot of people might not know about. But the quality of life here is just good. When you go to a different place where the quality of life is just so poor, but the money that you make is just so significant. It's kind of like the trade-off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like Alberta, you can start a family with and it's so easy to start a family. Both parents are making really good amount of money.
Oh yeah.
And houses are so cheap there, and not so cheap today, but it's reasonable over there. It's not like out of control like in Vancouver is.
Yeah. And everything's cheap there at the time too. I remember filling up my Honda Civic for like $20 for a full tank.
Yeah, like 66 cents gas or something.
And then here it's like $50 a full tank. Huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
So you're paying for basically what you get here. So
yeah. So tell me what like the transition from you coming out of Edmonton and now coming back into BC. Like I want to talk about like what happened exactly. And what your next plan was.
Okay, so what happened was my dad was in Calgary, I was in Edmonton, and the oil sands started declining.
Yeah.
We were getting it went from like 10-hour days to 8-hour days, and money was we were only working for 8 hours a day, and I was kind of like, I could make this money back at home. Well, why can't so.
And you get quality of life too.
And
right?
the quality of life too, yeah. So
being around your family, friends. Yeah.
At the time, my sister and my brother, they didn't want to live down at that basement anymore, and they were kind of getting fed up with it. So they contacted my dad, and my dad basically is like, we need somewhere to call home. And we don't have anywhere to call home now. We're like basically we're scavengers, like we're ravages, like just like spread out, like didn't have, my dad's in Calgary, James and my sister in like a basement in Surrey, and I'm in Edmonton. We're scattered. We don't have anywhere to call home. So me and my dad were like, okay, well, let's do it. My sister and my brother, they did the house hunting. They did they did basically all the work.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, you know what? This has to happen because we're not going to have anywhere to live if I go back.
Right.
It's what are me and my dad going to do? Live in the basement, the 2-bedroom basement with my brother and my sister. So so the house we're in now is actually the townhouse we bought in 2015.
Yeah, it's such a good spot. I think you hold most of like your family events, barbecues, Christmas, Thanksgiving. Anything you name it, it has the great space for it. And I've always appreciated coming over here because you guys are always so inviting. So I love the place, man.
Yeah, at 23 years old, like all I knew was like if I purchased a house, then I could do whatever I wanted with the rest of my money.
Yeah.
And at the time, we thought townhouses that were like 300,000, 400,000 were super expensive. Like back in 2014, 2015, but today is, it's a different story. So I guess I would have never regretted it at the time, but at the time it was tough, putting my money out there. But then I realized it's an investment, and
people don't know about like our area too. For those who are listening outside of Canada, it's just this area has had so much development happening with so many more people, coming into our province and cities and stuff like that. But has been so much development in Langley, guys, in Surrey, where we've been growing up our whole lives, that we've never seen before. Like even the OG house that I grew up in it's tore down a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to build more apartments and condos and stuff out
Yeah.
there. Like there's just so much happening, and the fact that you guys saw a townhouse and took advantage of the opportunity, at $300,000, is very significant. Now that they're trying to build like a SkyTrain system out here,
Yeah, like
I think that's gonna make this value of this house go
literally.
Like, yeah, so
building a SkyTrain station right beside us, actually. So we don't know what
crap.
that's gonna look like, but
yeah.
whatever happens, like it's So me and my dad, we were like, hey, let's do this. Let's put our money together and buy somewhere where we could call home.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are today. I was like, hey, well, I need to give something to myself, because I want to come back, with something in my hands.
Yeah.
So I go to the Mitsubishi dealership, and I had my Lancer, but it just wasn't enough for me to be, to be satisfied that, like I came out with like a base model Lancer. I had to come out like top of my game.
You popped your collar, went to that dealership. You're like,
Yeah.
enough with this base model.
Yeah. So I
Give me the best of the best.
yeah, exactly. So
Which was a Mitsubishi Evolution.
it was a Mitsubishi Evolution of that year.
Yeah.
When I bought it, and it was
Evolution's like the top model.
Yeah. So
and very rare to find because they don't make it anymore.
yeah.
And guys, the thing was a beast.
Yeah, it was beautiful, but it was definitely a lot to handle during the years coming. So
How much was it valued at before? 50K?
it was at 41, 41, and then with taxes and everything it was like 50K.
Wow.
Yeah. And
It was a nice car. Every time I was in that Lancer, that Evo is a short term for it. Is you got a lot of head turns, man, from a lot of people. You don't really see many Evos out there on the road.
And I love that. Like I love
The attention
that car brang. I'm not gonna downplay it. It was a beautiful car.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna downplay it because I don't have it anymore, but that's a different story. But today, like damn, like I wish I was driving down, it's a car you take downtown, and
every
time
you went behind the wheel, like I think you took it in a way as a sense of pride of how much hard work that you've acquired throughout all the years of having to live in such terrible conditions in Edmonton, and then coming back home and you're just like, I've worked my ass off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is like evident to all the hard work that I've acquired throughout the years.
Yes, exactly.
So every time you went behind the wheel, you were just like, man, this feels good.
Yeah.
Like to actually work your ass off and then acquire something that you've always wanted.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that a crazy little thing nowadays? You know what I mean? Like, because nowadays you don't really see too many people, working too hard for anything, but expecting so much, expecting, such big goals, but they don't take the action. Well, versus you're out there, I guess I shouldn't say sacrificing, but just risking everything, your lifestyle, the partying, and hanging with friends and going to Mirage together every weekend to just say enough is enough. Like, I need to do something that's good for me, and I have big ambitions and big goals. I have to prove people wrong because they thought you were just the guy that wasn't going to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's awful. I mean, that's awful to have people always downplaying you, saying like, John, you're not going to make it, man. John, you're not going to be anything. You're not accustomed to anything. You're not smart like, your brother and sister. And then you having that attitude to be like, you know what, enough's enough. Like, and I'm going to do something about it, and I'm going to really prove it to not only them, the naysayers, but prove it to yourself that you're able to acquire something like this beautiful house, which you guys can't really see on video, but like, dude, it is still beautiful. Like since day one that you guys, got it, and to have your car, your Evo, as like a testament of the hard work that you've I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you know where we're going with this? It's just the sense of pride that you had just driving that thing. I always saw it, every time I was in that thing with you.
Yeah. Growing up, like, I definitely brought it onto myself. I was definitely a troubled kid, and growing up, it was definitely a weird experience because I had to kind of fend for myself all the time, but also, I had obviously me and my siblings, we fight all the time, and so it wasn't just like me and my brother, it was me and my sister, or me and my parents.
Yeah.
It wasn't for James, he was taken care of, and it was kind of different for my situation, but I was definitely a bad kid, so definitely brought it to myself.
Yeah.
To have people think these ways of me. So it's okay for them to think that way, but at the time I was like, no, you know what, this is not me. If I didn't have the school skills, I actually dropped out of business school before I went to Edmonton.
Yeah.
I didn't really tell anybody about that, but I was, doing business classes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what, this is not for me, because, sometimes things aren't for everybody. And I was like, hey, well, yeah, I'm good with my hands, so let's start out with that first. And
Imagine like how many people are in school right now, like, because you hear it a lot. People take school because they feel the pressure of their parents, and then they have to take something, and then when they take it, they start to not really be aligned with it, but they are kind of still continuously forced to do it still because of that pressure. And then you realize that you're racking up the dollars, the money, the debt over time, and to something that you don't want to do. And you know what? Like, a lot of people downplayed you, saying like, John, why did you quit school? You know what I mean? Like, that's not really smart of you, because academics should be number one priority.
Yeah.
Versus you being like, no, I know who I am. I'm good with my hands, and I'm just gonna do whatever it takes to continue finding my path and experiencing on the field. Because people in school, like don't get me wrong, school is great and all, but once you get on the field, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
It's like the analogy of like if you want to learn how to play basketball, you can read all the books in the world and be book smart about basketball, but if you don't pick up that ball and start dribbling and shooting,
exactly, like,
how are you ever going to know? How are you ever going to be great at basketball? And that's exactly what you did. You're good with your hands. You like the experience, because you can feed off those skills, right?
Yeah. Like, I've always needed some sort of like I needed people to tell me that what I was doing was okay, in order to get that, what's that? I forgot that word, but like clarification that it's going to be okay to do.
Yeah.
And my really good buddy, best friend actually, Jericho, ever since I've known him since I was 5 years old, but after high school, he said to me, I remember this clearly because I always take his words. I always,
Jericho's a smart guy, man.
Yeah, he always tells me what I need.
Guy,
he tells me what I need to hear.
Yeah.
So he tells me, John, if I were you, I would go to the oil sands, because I would, I wish I could do that too. But your intelligence is in you, like your hands.
Yeah.
You have to use it to your advantage. And he wishes he could have done the same thing. But he's an RN now, so he's making thick cash. So
yeah. That's the thing, though, right? I think that was great advice for you, from his end too. Like, knowing that he knew that there was a lot of money involved in that, in the oil sands, but he realized that, like, working in those conditions might not have been ideal, especially for where he was headed, because his goal was to be a registered nurse. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he knew that it was going to be a long-term investment. That's the investment that he.
But he also had the academics. So he had a lot of,
for sure.
He was honor roll student every single year. So he was like my parent, like, he was
parents comparison, like, why aren't you like Jericho? Why aren't you like Jericho?
Yeah. If he's like the kind of kid every Asian parents want,
I can definitely see that, definitely.
But yeah, like, it was just I guess for for being Asian, I guess you have a different way of being brought up. Like you're supposed to go to school. You
Yeah.
hear it from every Asian family. It's
Yeah.
like,
Be a doctor.
yeah, be doctor.
Be a lawyer. No.
Don't talk to me till you doctor.
Yeah. You're not doctor yet? Don't talk to me.
Yeah. So it's like,
The worst Asian accent ever.